to another episode of the When Life Happens podcast. I'm your host, William Jackson, and so excited because we have another opportunity to live, learn, and grow together. I'm excited because we are in our C.O.R.E series, C.O.R.E, and we're taking a look at who we are at the core of our being. Because if I can assess and address who I am at my core, I will find out the things that I have certain propensities to. I will be able to understand more about myself. And if I learn who I am at my core, then I can communicate those things effectively. And then possibly what I'll do is limit my opportunities to get into conflict or create relational breaches because I haven't taken the time to do the work of figuring out who I am at my core. So the first week we talked about who are we in conflict, the conflict edition. Then the last episode, what we talked about is who we are when opportunity strikes. When you have the opportunity to get ahead, who are you? Who are you when you have the opportunity to get even? Ooh, it got real in that section. And then who are you when you have an opportunity to give back? Because so many people are focused on me, myself, and I that oftentimes we forget that the blessings that we experience and have the opportunity to walk into are not just for ourselves, but we are blessed to be a blessing. And we have to be intentional about giving back when we get to a place where we reach the success that we've been desiring for, hoping for, and praying for. So, this episode, what we're going to talk about, going deeper in the core series, is who we are. You probably guessed it, in relationships. Absolutely. Because who you are in relationships, the truth of the matter is, everything happens and is built and maintained through the confines of relationship. Just try to think of something that you are able to do in life that doesn't involve people. Just stop for a minute and just try to think about something that you are able to do in life that does not involve interacting with people. If you leave your house, guess what you got to do? You got to interact with people on the highways, or people who are driving, or people who are walking, or people who are on bikes. Like anything that you try to do and build, you are interacting with people. Relationships are so pivotal, so vital to understanding who we are, because our relationships reveal our motives. They reveal our propensities. They reveal the things that we are driven towards, because nothing will bring the best out of you or the worst out of you like a relationship, especially for men. For men, if you really want to see a man thrive, put him in a relationship where he feels valued, where he feels appreciated, where he feels like he can flourish. When a man feels like inside the confines of his relationship that he is king and that he has all of the respect in the world, he is willing to run through a brick wall. And much like that, when the woman feels like that she's a queen in the relationship, she's more inclined to be in that space where she's providing the necessary tools for her relationship to flourish and to thrive. And then we get into this place where we can live at our highest potential. Relationships can bring the best out of us, but they can also bring the worst out of us if we're not careful. If you just stop for a moment, think about how many relationships that you've been in that were toxic, that were frustrating, that you walked away thinking, what was that? And why did I waste my time? Have you ever felt that way? Why did I waste my time there? Relationships have the ability to bring out the best of us and the worst of us. But the one relationship that oftentimes I think a lot of people skip over is the one we're going to talk about today. Who are you in relationship, in relation to yourself? This is the main relationship that we should put more emphasis on, but oftentimes goes overlooked because we're so consumed with the people that need us. We're so consumed with the people who are relying on us. We're so consumed with our responsibilities that we often don't take a moment to stop and say, how am I relating to myself? How am I actually communicating and interacting with me? Because you've probably heard me say it on other episodes. A lot of times, what we do is we give people grace, and in turn, we give ourselves more constructive criticism. The grace that we give to people, we don't give to ourselves. We give ourselves more critiques. We give ourselves more insults. How are you relating to yourself? Even if you're not in a space where you're overly critiquing yourself or you are hard on yourself, there may be areas where we can take a look at to improve the relationship with yourself. Because if you find out who you are at the core and you figure out how you can better relate to you, then subsequently it will create a space where you are more pliable in relationships and able to relate to people better. Sometimes people just are mean to others because they're mean to themselves. Sometimes the defense mechanisms of having a difficulty in connecting with one another is because I don't like me. People literally have the place of saying, maybe it is that the people who you're interacting with that may have a difficulty, or it seems like there's a wall up, that it could be that they just don't like themselves, that there is something inside of them, maybe their past experiences, or maybe there are opportunities that they have not been able to access yet, and it's causing them to have an improper viewpoint of themselves. And I'm here to tell you that you can only relate to people. You can only relate to people to the level of the health and your ability to relate to yourself. So I'm going to give you 3 areas of how we can focus on improving the relationship with ourselves so that we can be intentional about assessing who we are at our core and establishing a foundation of health, of a proper mindset, of motivation, the things that you need inside of you to live at your highest potential. We're going to take a look at some of those things today. My question is, how are you relating to you? How do you talk to you? What are some of the things that you do? What are some of the things that you say? Because in relationships, we're going to look at the 3 L's of our relationships to ourselves, with ourselves. The 3 L's, the things that we normally don't probably take a look at. The first thing in relationship to ourselves, or in relation to yourself, my question is, have you stopped and really assessed what limiting beliefs you have adopted and applied to your current reality? What limitations have you put on yourself? Are you the type of person when someone says, hey, you should try this, you go automatically pessimistic? Well, I can't do that. Oh, no, I won't be able to do that. Oh no, I don't have the skill set for that. Oh, well, I don't have the experience for that. I'm not. No, 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 no. That's not me. What limiting beliefs or limitations have you put on yourself? Have you limited yourself based on how you were raised, the amount of money that you have, your socioeconomic status, the resources at your disposal? What are the limitations that you put on yourself? Because here's the thing, the difference between ordinary successful people and ultra successful people is that ultra successful people have a mindset that there is nothing that they can't do. Whatever I desire, I can accomplish. Whatever I desire, whatever I feel like doing, as long as I put my mind to it, I can accomplish it. What are the limitations that you may have put on yourself based on your past experiences? Here's a deeper question. What are some of the limitations that you've adopted that someone else put on you? Things that someone said about you, things that they forced ideas on you. What are some of the things that you may be walking around carrying limiting beliefs because of your interactions that you've had with people who had an inability to see your worth and value? What are the limitations that you have adopted? Because all limitations, even though you may be put in places that are limiting, a limitation mentally, emotionally has to be adopted. It has to be something that you accept. You can't tell a five-star athlete that they are not going to win a game when the game is on the line. You can't tell Steph Curry that when the game is on the line, when he's going to take the last shot, that it's not going to go in. You can't make him believe that the shot that he puts up is not going to go in because he doesn't have a limitation on him because one, he's put in the work. Two, he's confident in his ability. Can I tell you that some of our limitations are because we're not confident in our ability to perform in the places that we were created to? How much of the development process have you gone through to prepare for the places that you desire to be? Because if you are prepared, preparation is one of those things that will help you break off limitations because you will then be confident in your ability. When you hear about the people who are practicing hours and hours and hours on something to become an expert on whatever it is, they say if you practice for something for a certain amount of hours, I forget how many thousands of hours, that technically you will become an expert. And people who are experts in their field don't have limiting beliefs because they've put the work in, because they know that without a shadow of a doubt, I'm prepared. Are there places in your life that you've accepted limitations because you're unprepared? Are there certain things that just automatically warp your personality perspective to think that you don't have the ability to do what everyone else is doing? Can I tell you what else oftentimes contributes to limitations? Comparison. When we start looking around and seeing what other people are doing, what other people are saying, what other people are making, what other people are accomplishing, and we start taking our eyes off of our journey, our process, our purpose, our destiny, when we get to that place where we start looking around and we're focused on everyone else, then subsequently what could happen is I can adopt a limiting perspective if I'm looking at someone who has arrived in the place that I desire to be, and I don't have a healthy perspective of where they are versus where I am. Because an unhealthy perspective of me looking at someone who has arrived to a place of success is me saying that I can't do that or I can't be that because they're there and I'm not. A healthy perspective is to say they're there and I'm not yet. I know that I'm not there yet, but I have the same skill set. I may even be more qualified. I have the same drive, the same passion. I'm putting the work in. They're there now, but I'll be there next. It's having a confidence of knowing that no matter where you are, you have the ability to get out of the places that you are and step into the places that you desire to be. So, what are things that provide limitations on us? Because so many people are operating or matriculating through life from a limited perspective, a limited viewpoint, limitations on their mind and on their hearts. The things that contribute to our limitations are your comparisons, the lack of confidence, lack of preparation, those things will create spaces that we are adopting these limiting perspectives. And then what also could feed into our limitation are the things that we allow or accept or adopt that we've taken from other people. Things that people have said, things that people have thought, things that people have felt about you. When you adopt that and you take that and you now have ownership of that negative thought, it becomes a shackle on your ability. And then it's like you're tied to a chain, to a fence. I don't know if you've ever seen the dogs who are in fields or who are in yards, and they have this the thick chains that are attached to them. And I talked about this in one of the other episodes, and they may run for a certain distance, but eventually that chain is going to snap and it's going to limit their ability to keep moving forward. And if you don't challenge your limiting beliefs, it will hinder your ability to keep moving forward. So, what are your limitations? What are your limitations? What are the things that you've accepted that have become a limited perspective? Because you can even take a limitation, a process of even looking at something from a limited perspective as a positive or a negative. Because I can look at the fact that I don't know what the future holds or I don't know what's coming in tomorrow as a moment and an opportunity to get excited. Or I can look at it and allow that limiting belief to say, well, I don't know, and maybe not. And then now I drift off into pessimistic thoughts. Listen, I love everybody and I celebrate everybody. And I have a heart for people, but I cannot be in the same areas or rooms or connected to people who are consistently pessimistic. I can't. The thought process where it's a place where I'm just consistently negative and it's a no and there's a never and I'll never do that and we'll never be this, and that energy is contagious. And you know it because you can go into a room and you can be high on energy and you can be excited about what's happening. And then all of a sudden you get around people who don't share your same viewpoint, who don't share your same perspective, who don't share your same thought processes, who don't share the same vision and passion that you have. And then it will start to eat at your motivation. So what are your limiting beliefs? What are your limitations? And who are the people that you're attached to that are limiting you from achieving your goals? Because if you can address the limitations, then you can get to the place now, which is the next L, where you're leveraging your experiences. Most people can't leverage the nuances of their experiences because they're so tied to limiting beliefs. See, a limiting belief of even the difficult things that we go through is, okay, because I went through that, I'm damaged goods, or because I had this divorce, or because I lost this job, or because this happened in my life, or because I may not have certain abilities, that now I am less than. A limiting belief, it doesn't allow you to leverage your experience to say, okay, because I went through this divorce, I came out with more wisdom, more strategy, more insight on how to be more effective in next relationships. And because I lost this, or because I lost this job, now the things that I learned in that experience helped me develop the plan of action for me to even open up my own business and become my own boss. But I can't leverage my opportunities or leverage my experience if I'm tied to limiting beliefs. So in relationship to yourself, how are you leveraging the things that you've gone through? Because pain should not be wasted. The things that you go through, you don't just go through just to go through. There are things that you can extract from every single situation in your life. There are tools, there are lessons that you can apply, that you can pull out from the things that you have gone through. Just go back down memory lane. Even the most difficult moments in your life, there are places and spaces for you to tap into those experiences and leverage what you learned so that you can apply it to your next season. How are you leveraging your experiences? Don't just waste pain. Don't just waste heartbreak. How are you going to leverage it to come out stronger, to come out and be more efficient, to come out to be more purposeful? How are you leveraging it? And then in relation to yourself, how are you also in a place where you are consistently learning more about you? Have you been in a place where you have tucked away your identity and associated everything that you do for other people as your identity? Where we're so service based, where it's all about what I can produce. But my limiting beliefs oftentimes won't allow me to leverage the experience and learn from the things that I have gone through. This is how you improve the relationship with yourself. You break off all limiting beliefs. You start leveraging your experiences, and then you never stop learning. You never stop learning you. When was the last time you just sat down and just had a thought trail where you were just able to go through to say, well, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Where am I now in life? When is the last time you did a internal assessment of where you are? Where you were able to just stop and sit and think and be like, you know what? I need to figure out where I am and why I'm here. What's been going on in my heart and in my mind? What do I really like now in this season? We're so ritualistic and routine that we'll just keep doing the same things for decades. And we'll just keep doing it over and over and over because this is what we do. And then you'll realize I don't even like this anymore. I wonder how many things we're still doing that we don't even like anymore. I wonder how many perspectives we're still adopting that we don't even like anymore. I wonder how many people we're still connected to that we don't even like anymore. But we're doing it because we're loyal. We're loyal. Loyal to a version of you that no longer suits where you are headed. Could it be that you're loyal to a version of you that is limiting you from leveraging your experience and stepping into the fullness of your purpose? Can I tell you something that there is more in store for you? That every day that you wake up, every day that you have breath in your body, it's an opportunity for you to achieve and receive more out of life. That every day is a gift that provides you an opportunity to experience more, to learn more, to gain more, to build more. But we keep settling for less because of our limiting perspectives, our limiting beliefs. And then we keep leaving pain unattended. There's so many things that we're leaving and not even leveraging because what's the difference? When we're in a place where we're leveraging our experiences, it's when I'm extracting the tools, but when I leave it, it's me trying to avoid it and erase. There's a difference between extracting and erasing. And either you do one of the two. When you go through difficult moments and you go through times where you're feeling like you don't know what to do and you're going through moments of brokenness, you will either extract the tools from that season or you will try to erase it from your memory. But you can't learn from something that you have erased. You can't learn. And we keep trying to push into purpose and push into destiny without having the tools from leveraging our experiences. The things that you have gone through in life is preparing you to be more effective and more efficient in the places that you desire to be. When was the last time you just stopped and took inventory to check up on you? We check up on everything else. We check up on everyone else. You take your car in for a checkup. The most that most of us do is have a physical once a year. But when was the last time that you actually stopped and did an emotional checkup with you? Not going just to hear what someone else has to say, or trying to mask the frustrations and the pains that you've experienced, or even go, when have you stopped and just sat with you and just said, where am I? What's going on in my mind and my heart? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Why am I thinking that? Why am I feeling this? What's changed over this past year? So much has happened over these past few years that we just keep trying to keep moving. We just keep moving. We just keep pushing. And if we don't stop and pause and take a moment to deal with us at our core, then what we'll do is we'll keep taking the residue of our past situation into our next situation. We'll keep taking limiting beliefs into our places of purpose and destiny, and then it will limit our ability to be effective over there. What limiting beliefs have kept you from pursuing the dream that you've always had? What limiting perspectives have caused you to abandon your goals because maybe you tried it and you started it and it didn't work out? How are you relating to you? How do you talk to you? Do you take moments to just stop and affirm yourself? If you don't, you should. Taking moments to just stop and affirm you, to talk good to you, to build yourself up, to boost your confidence. You cause yourself to be in a place where you're more motivated and more driven if you just stop and take time to just pour back into you. So many of us are trying to pour and trying to push and trying to pursue, but our gas tank is on empty. You got to refuel. And how do you refuel? How do you get to a place where you're breaking these limiting perspectives? You have to start speaking the things that are contrary to what you're seeing. See, what you may see from your perspective may be, I don't have, that I'm not qualified, that I'm limited in my ability. But if you start speaking the things that are contrary to what you see, eventually your mindset will begin to rewire new neural pathways to believe the things that you are saying. If you start affirming yourself, even if you don't see it, even if you don't feel it, even if you don't believe it, if you start affirming yourself and start pouring back into yourself and start talking better to yourself, you will literally start to rewire your brain, and the motivation that you have to pursue the things that you would desire to pursue will begin to increase. And as it increases, your capacity increases. And as your capacity increases, your effectiveness increases. But you have to be willing to relate to you better, to leverage your experiences and start learning how to treat you better. Just take some time, just get in front of a mirror and just talk better to you. Just talk to yourself for a minute and just look yourself in the eyes and start to affirm who you are, who you want to be, that you're smart, you're courageous, you're tenacious, you're resilient, you're powerful, you're wise, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're handsome. When you start affirming those things in you, I call it the tea party. Everything starts with a thought. It filters down into your emotions and then comes out in your actions. And you lead your thoughts with your words. The things that you say will lead your thought processes. And you can rewire your brain to learn a different version of yourself. That you can learn who you are in this season and not apply the old season lessons, old season tactics, old season principles to your new season. You got to be able to learn this version of you. Because if I can't let go of the past version of me, Because so many people are beating themselves up about their past, about their mistakes, about their failures, about their flaws. If I can't let go of that version and learn the new version of me to leverage my experiences, I'll never break the limiting beliefs. You are only as limited as you choose to be. And my challenge to you is to stop allowing yourself to have a limited perspective, a limited viewpoint, limitations that you adopt and apply to your now that will affect your next. You are stronger than what you think. You're powerful. You have everything inside of you that you need to win. But you have to stop limiting yourself based on your past perspective, based on the pain that you've experienced, based on what someone else said, based on a comparison. It's time to boost your confidence and knowing that you have everything inside of you that you need in order to be successful, in order to step into your purpose. How are you relating to you? Because how you relate to yourself will determine how you will be able to relate to everyone else in your life. Could it be that some of our relationships externally are suffering because our relationship internally is suffering? Because our external relationship is only a mirror as to what's going on internally. So my challenge to you is to do the necessary work to break off the limitations, leverage your experiences, and take every opportunity to learn more about how you can pour back into you, because you are your greatest asset. You are the greatest commodity. And if you don't take care of you, you won't be able to do the things that are necessary for only you to accomplish in the earth. You got to see that your health, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health, it's imperative for you to consistently pour back into you. Because how you relate to you will determine what you are able to accomplish in this life. Listen, I hope you got something out of this episode. If you walk away from this episode, what you've heard or what you've seen here today, and you forget everything that I've said, I need you to never, ever forget that in every season of life, you have everything inside of you already that you need to overcome and succeed when life happens.